Good morning and good evening, everyone. In today's lecture, we are going to talk about artifact repository. So, the agenda of today's class is we are going to know about what is artifact repositories available in the market. Then we are going to talk about a JFrog Artifactory and how to install JFrog Artifactory, then how to integrate with Maven. So, these are the topics we are going to talk about in today's class. Before talking about or starting artifact repository, do you have any doubts whatever we have discussed in our classes so far? If so, please let me know. We'll discuss that first and we'll go here. Because it is related to the Maven again, we are going to still working with Maven. Now we'll see how integratively Maven and Artifactory is going to work. Alright, seems no question. If you don't have any questions in the chart, you can just specify even in the middle of the class if I ask. You cannot able to speak, you just type it in the chat that okay, if you I don't have any questions or no questions. That would be helpful for me to understand how we are going. Okay, fine. So with that, let's start. So first we'll understand what is artifact. So if you do remember, we are talking about artifact from our Maven classes, where I'm saying that Maven is going to generate a artifact whenever it complete its build stage. So what do you mean by artifact? Whenever we any developer develops the code, it is available in the source code. It is available in the readable format in that particular language. It means it is a source code where they develop the code and they can use that one to build a artifact. Now, to build an artifact, we need to do some activity in between, nothing but compilation, we called it. Whenever we compile any source code, if source code is fine, then it is going to generate the outcome. The outcome which comes out of the source code, that we call it as a artifact. Let's take an example that we are using Java code. Whenever you compile your Java code, you are going to get either jar. Let me take a note. So whenever you are going to build Java, okay, from Java you are going to get an artifact as a .jar or .var or .er. Okay, these three are the outcomes of the Java. Similar way, if you take the .NET, okay, most probably it is a .exe. Okay, .exe extension. So these we call it as a outcomes of your source code. The outcomes of our source code we call it as a artifacts. Now, why do we need an artifact? Why can't we use the source code itself? There is a two reasons behind why we are not using source code. First thing is source code is not understandable by your system. Your system cannot understand the source code. That is the reason we need to convert it into a understandable system understandable language. Then we need to compile it. Another problem is if I give the source code, people may use it. I mean to say they may not come back to me for the same stuff. Let's take an example that we have built a very good pro application. And if we make the source code available, they can modify a little bit of this application and they can name it as their own application. Now what happens, whatever efforts I put to build that application are gone. Another guy is able to take it without any efforts. That's the reason we don't share, our companies doesn't share source code with their clients to mm, uh, retain their customers, To retain their customers with them, they are going to share only executable files, not the source code. So whenever they need any changes to the executable files or they for their applications, again they have to go back to the guys who has developed that application, so that you can get the business repeatedly. And another advantage with that one is, maybe another guy is looking for similar product, then I have already developed my product earlier for other client, and I can do little bit of modifications to the existing code, and I can make it as a different project. Then we can able to build a one more product relevant to that one. To give you an example, that somebody has or some company has built an application for Uber to book a cabs from in the online. Now, if we give the source code, maybe Uber guys can able to maintain it, of course, but they can build new applications out of that with the Uber, again maybe Ola. But if the Uber guys doesn't have source code, then Ola guys may reach to the same company that you have developed the one application to one of the cab booking website or application, similar kind of application I need, but additionally I need these features. Now for that company, it is quite easy because already they have an experience in that particular stuff. At the same time, they can resell the product, so they can what I can say, increase their business. So these two reasons keeps the source code is in hidden format, or not like a open source. But nowadays there are more open source applications are available. Even you can modify and you can name it. If you take an example of Linux, okay, Linux have at least 300 or 350 plus flavors. Because Linux is a open source application or operating system, even you can take the kernel of Linux and change a little bit of the existing code and name it as a your own application OS. Okay, that is possible in the Linux because Linux is a open source. So in the open source platform, you can take the existing code and modify little bit, and you can release it as a your application. But it doesn't work for the all the applications, and some of the enterprise applications they don't do that one. Okay, so now you understood why we are not giving the sorry, source code, because they want to retain the business. At the same time, um, what I can say, it is not understandable by the system. Now what happens whenever you do the compilation? So whenever we do the compilation, the compiler can able to understand the source code, and it converts into the binaries, nothing but zero ones. Okay, that is where the bins comes into the picture. So binaries, it will sorry, the the code is converted into the binaries, and those binaries will be understandable your system can understand only zero ones, right? So those are come from the source code. The outcome of this, what you can say, binaries, sorry, yeah, binaries are artifacts will have the similar kind of information or same information to understand by your systems. Okay, now all the artifacts doesn't convert into the binaries, because some binaries or some artifacts can be understandable by the application. Let's take an example of Java application. Whenever you want to install Java application, you need a some application server. Why application server? Because even though jar or var files, those are not understandable by your system directly, the application server can able to understand it. That's the reason whenever we are installing Java applications, we are also going to use the application servers like Tomcat, WebSphere, or WebLogic. All these all are the application servers. First, we should have an operating system. On top of that one, application server. Then we are going to install the application. So applications can understand these artifacts. Okay. Now we understand what is artifact. Artifact is a outcome of the your source code. Now, what is artifact repository? So as so far we know the source code repository or version control system called Git. So Git is a source code management or version control system where it maintains the source code only. It cannot maintain or it cannot handle the outcome of the source code. If you can, if you are doing that one, maybe you can store the outcome of your uh, source code, but it is not right way to handle. Okay, you are using a tool which is work for some purpose and you are using for other purpose. So that is the reason we don't use the Git repository as a artifact repository. That is where the artifact repositories came into the picture, and they can hold the outcome of this source code. Outcome of this source code, nothing but whatever jar or where EAR files are coming, right? These files can be held by your artifact repository. Your artifact repository. Does it hold only the outcome of the jars, wars, and EARs, or else, I mean to say, artifacts? No. It again, it has two advantages. One is it is going to hold the outcome of your source code, nothing but it is hold artifacts, as well as to build your artifact we need some dependencies. If you do remember, in our previous classes we have talked about Maven is going to pull the dependent libraries from the Maven repository. So instead of pulling the repositories from the Maven repository, we are going to pull it from the artifact re artifact repository. Artifact repository means, sorry, yeah, artifact repository. It means artifact repository is going to hold or maintain the outcome of artifacts, as well as it gives the dependencies information. If we go, I have already logged into my system. So this is Maven server. If you see, I'm under my .m2 directory. I told you that this is a local repository of your Maven. And if you see, there is a repository directory. Under repository directory, we have some packages. These packages are downloaded whenever we executed the command called mvn install, if you do remember. It is going to download all these dependencies and keep it in your system. Okay, so now from where it is going to download, it is downloading from the browser. Rather than using internet or public network, you can still download these dependencies from the artifact repository. So artifact repository is going to communicate with your public network, and from there it downloads and it keeps a copy of the repository, sorry, libraries, and it gives to the Maven server as well. So let's take this one. So first, if I assume that this is my Maven server and this is my Artifactory and this is my internet connection. Okay. So assume that from internet, currently I'm downloading from my internet to my Maven server. Rather than doing this one, if you have the artifact repository in between, you can just speak with your artifact repository. It is going to download from the internet and keep the libraries, required libraries here, as well as give it to your local system. Nothing but the Maven server where you are building your application. Okay. So two advantages of using the artifact repository. First thing is it is going to store artifacts. Okay, it is store artifacts, and also it libraries gives libraries required for build. Okay, so to build whatever libraries are required for your Maven, those also given from your artifact repository. So these two advantages making the artifact is necessary in our DevOps process. So artifact is necessary in our DevOps process to give the required libraries to your build build tool as well as to hold the outcome of your build tool. Okay, so that is how the artifact repository does work. Now we are going to see what and all artifact repositories are available in the market. We are going to see what and all artifact repositories are available in the market. Before going to that one, you just see this one. What is an artifact repository? An artifact repository manages you the end-to-end artifact life cycle and supports different softwares, package management systems while providing the consistency to your CI/CD workflow. An artifact repository is both a source for artifact needed for a build. So whatever artifacts are needed for your build, it is going to hold those artifacts, and a target to deploy artifacts generated in the build process. So to deploy the artifacts once after your build process. So this also we can able to store. Now we are going to see what and all artifact repositories are available in the market. I'm just searching for artifact repositories in the market. You can see here top 10 artifact management DevOps tools. If I go here and you can see here type of artifact management DevOps tools. Helix Core. Okay, this is version control system, I think. Next, Arcava, Cloudsmith, and JFrog Artifactory. So this is what we are going to talk about it. And Pulp. Next, Sonotype Nexus, NGate, MyGit, NPM, and Docker Hub. Okay, Docker Hub also a source code management repository. We are going to talk about this one in the later point of time whenever we are dealing with the microservices. But at this moment, we are going to talk about the one of the repository artifact repository called JFrog. Okay, so why we are choosing the JFrog? Because nowadays this is one of the trending artifact repository because it have the full control of your artifacts while you are storing, and also it have lot of features as well. Okay, and they release features very frequently. Earlier we were using the Sonotype Nexus. In my project current I'm using the Artifactory. So I thought that it's better to discuss the Artifactory. I have done some research, so it is saying that Artifactory JFrog Artifactory is the uh, one of the best artifact repository at this moment, right? So now we are going to talk about JFrog Artifactory. So what JFrog Artifactory does do, it is going to store the outcome of your artifacts, and also it is going to give the whatever required libraries for your uh, build process. Libraries as well as sometimes it may require other artifacts. Those also it is going to give. Okay. So now JFrog Artifactory, okay, it is from the JFrog. Apart from the product name is Artifactory, okay. Product name is Artifactory, which will hold the artifacts. So name is more relevant. And apart from this, they have few other products. Okay, you can see here, these all are the products they have, but we are just concentrating on the Artifactory. So now we'll talk about the how Artifactory does work. Before talking about that one, let's see how we can install the Artifactory. Once we have installed Artifactory, we will just go and experience the browser. How does it work? Okay. So now to install Artifactory on our system, first we need to launch an EC2 instance because we are going to install Artifactory in our EC2 instance. Instead of installing Artifactory in our EC2 instance, you can still go with a cloud way. That is, if I search for Artifactory download, JFrog Artifactory download if I give. So open source, if I go here, you can see here downloads. Okay, this is the official website where you need to download your repository. Go to downloads. You can see here if you are installing on Linux system, tar.gz. If it is a Windows, you are going to download it from here. If it is Mac, from here you need to download. So we are going to use the Linux. So if I click here, it is going to download in my local system, whatever is required. Okay. But I have already downloaded. I don't want to waste our time. So I'm just pausing it. You can see here 399 MB is there, almost 400 MB. You need to download it into your system. So I will tell you the procedure how you can download it into your system. So I have created a document called setup JFrog Artifactory. I'm going to share with you in after this class. So the process to install the artifact repository, you need at least T2 small or T2 small EC2 instance. Why? Because the resources which is required to hold artifact repository is 2 GB RAM. It is necessary. Okay, 2 GB RAM comes in the T2 micro instance types in AWS, not the T2 micro. Okay, so let's go and launch an EC2 instance. I'm launching an EC2 instance. Launch EC2 instance. And this is Amazon Linux. Let it be. And T2 micro. If you see T2 micro, 1 CPU and 1 GB RAM, but we need 2 GB RAM. So I'm going to choose the T2 small. And it doesn't come under to free tier account, so they will charge you. But the charges are very minimal. No need to worry. For our practice, there is no much impact. And I'm just creating this instance and I will name it as a Artifactory, JFrog Artifactory. Okay. Next, security group. We need to create a new security group or choose existing security group. I'm choosing or creating new security group called DevOps security group. DevOps SG. Next, currently only port number 22 it is opened, but Artifactory is going to run on port number 8080. So I'm adding one more rule, that is port number 81. So this is the port number which it uses to run or access our Artifact repository application. So I have given 8081 and launch instance. So instead of using the test key pair, I'm going to create a new key pair, that is DevOps key. So we'll name it as a more relevant the names as well. So download it. Whenever you create a new key pair, you must download it and launch the instance. So it takes a while to get it ready. Meantime, I will copy this key pair into the my appropriate location. I'm just pausing the screen. Okay, so my server is getting ready. Yes, it is in running state. I can access it with the public IP, copy the public IP and go and connect to your system. Then key, we are going to use the DevOps key, not the test key pair. From now onwards, we are going to use the DevOps key. Open and username is ec2-user. Now I have logged into my artifact repository server, but I haven't configured the Artifactory yet. So now what we need to do, I'm going to become a root user, sudo minus, and clear the screen. And let's increase the font size and go to OPT. Under OPT, we don't have any artifact repository. Now I can download my artifact repository over here, wget, and if we use this one, what will happen? It is going to download it into our Linux system, sorry, Windows system. But I want to download it into our Linux system, so I'm copying the link address. So it will copy the link address, whatever is there. Now let's go and execute this step. No, this doesn't work because it should be ends with this one. So where I have got this link. Okay, I think we should remove the last stuff and let me download it. No, not this link, but anyway, I was searching for the link. I found it. This is the link to download it. So wget, and this is the link to download. It is going to download the pro version of 6.19.1. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. Um, so there are two versions on Artifact repository. One is open source. Another one is the pro version. Pro version nothing but paid version. Now what is the difference between the open source and pro version? So open source nothing but you can use without any licensing, but pro version you require a license. So I could able to download it in the local system, and again I need to copy into the remote system. Rather than that one, what I have done, I have installed the pro version, or I have downloaded the pro version rather than open source. So I can search for the JFrog Artifactory download platform, and if I go here, yep, you can see here this is to download the Linux. I can download it from here, or else I can click on this one and copy the link address. Okay, copy link address. This is another way of taking it. I hope this is the link, it works. Now it is also giving the same link, isn't it? Let me try it. Wget and only tar.gz. No. Okay. Anyway, what you need to do is you need to create your account, and what I can say, you need to download it. Why? Because the open source we can download it and do it. If you have the enough bandwidth, you can try that one. Okay. And this is another Artifactory, sorry, product, Artifactory Edge, but we should go with the just Artifactory. Sorry, JFrog Artifactory. This is user in guide. What and all, what I can say, dependencies it requires, what is the capacity you need, all this information is there. And if you need pro version, yes, you can see here, this is pro version, and you can see here on premises and cloud. They are giving again two options. Either you can install it in on premises or cloud. If you choose on cloud, you can use your AWS account directly. You can use AWS account directly, and you can see here pro one, it is $98 per month. And if you go with the enterprise, up to enterprise we have, if you go with the enterprise, it may be more cost. So it changes the features depends upon the product type. Okay, but anyway, we are trying to do it in on premises. In on premises, this is how, what is the licensing cost, $2,950, but we are going with the free version. Let's go with the JFrog Artifactory enterprise version, and you can see here free trial and buy now. So if you go with the buy now, you can have to buy it. Free trial, if you go with the free trial, you need to create an account, and they give the 30 days free tier license. You can see here 30 days license, and you need to provide your information, and you should create an account. Once you have created an account, you can able to download directly to your system. That is how I generated this URL. Okay, so I just generated it once I have logged into my system, and I could able to get this link. Now I'm installing or downloading JFrog Artifactory onto my system. So go to here and wget, and if I give this one, it is going to download the binaries or sorry, whatever application is required to run the JFrog Artifactory. Now where I have downloaded under OPT, you can see here what is the name we got it. It is some random keys are there. So now I am going to rename it to rename MV download file to. I'm just going to rename it as a JFrog Artifactory. Okay, so I just renamed it. Now I'm going to unzip because it is zip format. Once it is unzipped, you are going to see your Artifactory repository pro. Okay, now let's go inside and you can see here there is a binary etc logs. All this information is there. So logs is nothing but in case if you are facing any issue while starting your application or some bugs are there, then you can go and check it out in the logs. And moreover, JFrog Artifactory is written in Java, so it is a web app and it runs on Tomcat. What you can do, you can install Tomcat server. On top of that one, you can run the JFrog, or else we can directly use this one. Okay. Now, as I said, Artifact is required a Java. Without Java, it cannot run. Okay. First, we should install Java. Let me see whether Java is installed or not. Java minus version. Okay, there is no command called Java. Let's install Java first. Okay, that is the instruction, right? First we should install Java. I'm installing Java 8. So to install Java 8, yum install Java minus 1.8 star nothing but after that whatever name it has, it takes that one, and minus y stands for accept to install it. It is going to install Java on our system. All right, so Java has been installed. Now if I check, clear the screen, Java minus version, you can see here Java 1.8.0 This is the version it is installed. Now I would like to start my Artifactory repository application. For that, you should go into the bin binaries. Under this, you can see here artifactory.sh, artifactory.sh, and we can start it by using /artifactory.sh and start. Okay, this is the command we need to execute to start the Artifactory repository. But before starting it, net start -tulpn. Okay, this is the command to check out what and all applications or ports are used in your system. So here you cannot see nowhere that port number 8080 is installed. At the same time, sorry, port number 8081 is used. At the same time, if I check for ps-ef grep artifact, nothing is there. Now let's start the Artifactory. To start it, /artifactory.sh and start. This is the command to start it. And if I see here ps-ef grep, you can see here there is an application called Artifactory is running at this moment. And clear the screen, net start -tulpn. Okay, and if you see here a port number is 8081 is in listen state and it is running Java. So it is not Java. On top of Java, we are running the Artifactory. Now, I would like to access my Artifactory repository from the browser. That is where we have opened port number 8081 in our security group, if you do remember. So while creating our EC2 instance, we have opened in the security group DevOps SG, we have opened port number 8081 because we are running our application on port number 8081. If we don't open this one, we cannot access our application. Now let's try to access our application from the browser. So to access our application, we are going to use the URL of this one, URL of our EC2 instance. colon port number is 8081. So if we give this one, we can able to access our JFrog Artifactory from the browser. Why it is taking long time? Let me see whether it's running or not. So this command will help us that, okay, you can see here fork. So fork cannot allocate memory. It means that the memory is not sufficient to run this application. Now what we can do is we need to increase the instance size. Okay, there is no other option. In AWS, increasing instance size is quite easy. So now currently it is T2 small. We need to increase it to the next instance size. So to increase it to next instance size, we cannot do it while it is running. Okay, we need to stop the instance. Okay, why? Because it is clearly saying that memory is not enough. Even 2 GB is not sufficient. I'm going to increase it to or change it to 4 GB instance size. So we need to stop the instance. Once it is stopped, we can change the instance type. You can see here, change instance type. Okay, whenever we change it, we can change it from the T2 small to some other instance size. Okay, and we can able to work, start the application without any issue. So in AWS, it is quite easy to increase the capacity, but it is not the case in on-premises. On-premises is quite difficult to do these kind of activities. Okay, now it is in stopped state. Now I am increasing the instance settings. You can see here now it is enabled, change instance size, and I am changing it to T2 medium, apply it. That's it. Now we got the higher capacity. Again, start the instance. Once it is started, our public IP get changed. Okay, please remember that whenever you stop and start the instance, earlier we were using this public IP, right? Now it is going to change. That is the reason in the real world, what do? We are going to use the elastic IPs. Elastic IPs means this is the one, but elastic IPs are chargeable if you don't allocate or don't use it. So if you are using, then only, sorry, then only you don't get charged. Otherwise, you are charged with the elastic IPs. Now you can see here IP address has been changed to new one. I'm using this IP address to connect to the server. DevOps key EC2 minus user. Okay. And sudo clear the screen. Then go inside to OPT. Under OPT we have Artifactory. Under this one we have bin directory. Under bin we have /artifactory.sh start. Okay, this is the command to start it. Once it is started, you can check the services by going to netstat, by executing netstat minus tulpn. Enter. You can see here 8081. It is in listening nothing but it is application is running. Now if I go and access my Artifactory with the public DNS, because public DNS also get changed, and you can see here now you can able to access your Artifactory. Okay, so this is how you can set up your Artifactory, but please make use T2 medium instance. Now whenever you want to log into your Artifact repository, it asks for username. The default username is admin and password is just a password. Okay, so default username is admin and password is just a password. If you give that one, it is going to configure. Now you can see here, welcome to Artifactory. This is pro version, so we should give the license for this one. You can see here, copy your license over here. I have the license. Let me copy the license over here.
We don't have the license, right? How will we?
Whenever you create it, you will create an account, right? Then they will send it to your email. So this is how you will receive an email. Okay. So in the email, you will have the license. This is the license we should copy. Okay. My license is here. I'm going to drop it into the here. So let me minimize the screen and just drop it. Once it is dropped next, it is going to accept the license and set the admin password. I'm setting up the admin password as admin at 123. Admin at 123. So username is admin and password is admin at 123. And these keys, we are going to skip it because we can use the keys to configure. But anyway, I just skipped. Now you can see here, create repositories. Now there are 20 plus applications it is going to support. 20 plus kind of repositories it is going to support. Among them, Maven is one of the repository. Okay, so we are currently managing with Maven, and Gems is for the Ruby script. Docker is for containerization, Debian, okay, Syrian, Conda, okay, Helm, and Gradle. Okay, these all are the, again we have the Gradle build tool is there. Next, uh, NGet is there, and few other are there, but mostly Go, Chef, all these are there, but we are concentrating on the Maven. So we are going to use the Maven. All right. So either you can create a repository from here or you can create it later point of time. Whenever you choose this one, it is going to create a repository in our Artifactory. Okay. So you can see here, let me increase the font size. Yeah. It is going to create a total 5 repositories whenever you are creating. Maven, it is creating libs snapshot local, libs release local, jcenter, libs snapshot, libs release. Okay, so these are the 5 repositories it's created by default. If you don't want, you can skip this step and you can still create manually whatever names you need, but let it be as a default one. I will tell you how you can create the custom repository. For now, we are going to choose these repositories and finish it. Now it's created 5 repositories. Okay, now before talking about the repository, we'll go and see how the Artifactory is going to work. So now what happens in Artifactory? In Artifactory, there is 3 kind of repositories we can create. One is local, remote, virtual. Okay, in JFrog Artifactory, we have 3 kind of repositories again: local, remote, and virtual. These 3 are the 3 different kind of repositories. Now, local nothing but which will be available locally, physically exist. I mean to say, you can use this local repository to communicate with your Maven. You can use this local repository to communicate with your Maven. Similar way, remote nothing but you can use this one on the JFrog Artifactory. I mean to say, let me go here. This is our Maven, right? Yep, not this one. Yep, this is our Maven server. PWD. I'm under M2 under repository, and if I go to OPT, you can see here this is a Maven server. Under this one, we have Hello World. So this is our Maven server. In Maven server, we have the M2 repository, right? So here it can talk with the only local repositories. It can talk with the local repositories. Now, remote repository is going to local repository is going to communicate with remote repository. Local repository is going to communicate with remote repository. So it is available only on remote. I mean to say here. Here local also will be available, but from the local, from your local system, it will go to here local. From here local to it will go to the virtual, sorry, remote. Now virtual is nothing but combination of remote and local. Combination of remote and local. You can understand more clearly whenever we are whenever we execute one example about the remote and local. We'll go and see now. So this is your artifact repository, and you have the multiple options over here. You have multiple options over here. If I click over here, you can see here, these all are the repositories which are available or created by default, which are created by default whenever you set up. And you can see here, these all are lib release, lib snapshot. These are we have created nothing but while we choose in the maven, right? If we don't choose this one, this one, this one, this one, and this, these all repositories doesn't get create. All right, now if you would like to create, yeah, this is the admin panel. Okay, so admin panel, it will list out the all the information whatever you could see over here. You have the repositories, security, services, import, export, and configuration, advanced. All these are available. But if you go with the open source, you may not see these many options because in open source they don't give. And you can see here there is a local, remote, and virtual repositories are there. We don't deal with these two. So these three are the repositories. And if I go with the local, whenever we create a Maven, two local repositories got created. That is libs release local. Nothing but whenever you are releasing, the libraries are stored over here. And libs snapshot local. So snapshot nothing but it is a snapshot. Each and every time we are going to execute snapshot, very rarely we go with the releases. I will show you the difference between these two. Okay, these two are the local repositories. Similar way, if I go with the remote repositories, JCenter is the remote repository. Now if I go with the virtual repository, yeah, virtual repository have the libs release and libs snapshot. So sorry, I might have told wrongly. So virtual repository is going to communicate with the remote repository. So there also we have lib release local, libs release local, libs snapshot local, right? So the release local is going to communicate with this one, libs snapshot is going to communicate with this one. At this moment it is empty, nothing but we haven't have any repositories over here, sorry, any artifacts over here, because these all are empty repositories at this moment. We need to create or we can store artifacts over here. I'm just exploring. You can see here, you can click on the Artifactory image over here, and if I expand it, you can see here nothing is there inside to this one. Even here also, and similar way, here also nothing, here also nothing. Even under JCenter, nothing is there. So what does it mean? It is all are empty repositories. There is no data in this one. Once we executed Maven build and we push our Artifactory, you can see this get filled. Nothing but this snapshot, and this snapshot is getting having the our local repository. Sorry, yeah, our local repository. That is what we are going to see. Okay. So before that one, now so far what we have done is we just installed JFrog Artifactory. Nothing but we set it up. Once we set up, we need to integrate this one with the Maven. We need to integrate this one with the Maven. To integrate this one with the Maven, we need to generate the pom.xml code. Pom.xml code. So now let's go here, and if you see, sorry, okay, if you see pom.xml file, you can see here you are cloning the dependencies, but you are not storing your repository anywhere. You are not storing your repositories anywhere. Now I would like to store my repository in my artifact repository. Now what I can do, I can I can communicate. I mean to say my uh, Maven can communicate with the only local repositories. That is what I'm trying to say. I'm saying, right? So in local again we have release and snapshot. Now you need to update your pom.xml. Okay, this file pom.xml to communicate with this snapshot local or release local. With these two it should communicate. For that one, what we are going to do is we need to generate a pom.xml type Okay, XML kind of code. Now either you can write the XML kind of code, or in Artifactory there is a feature to generate the code. There is a feature to generate the code. For that one, you can see here set me up option is there. So set me up option is very useful. Mostly we are going to use this option whenever we would like to generate the code which is required to communicate with our tools. So go to the set me up, and we are going to generate the Maven settings. So we are going to generate the Maven settings. So generate it, and while generating, sorry, go back. So while generating, we can generate only for this one or else all the repositories. For now, we need only for this one. You can see here, you have the distribution management. Okay, so distribution management, this is the one we should use. And here we are having the snapshots. Nothing but what we are trying to say to our Maven is, okay, use this snapshot repository to store the snapshots, okay. So let me copy this one, and if you see here, it is saying that id is snapshot. Whatever snapshots are coming out of your Maven should be stored over here. This is the IP address. This is the IP address, and also this is the URL. This is the public URL. And don't stop and start your system. If you stop and start, this is going to get changed and it cannot able to communicate. If you want to use the a common what I can say IP address, you need to use the elastic IP. I will show you how can you use the elastic IP. Now let's copy this one and update our pom.xml. So go here. Okay, so after dependencies, we need to copy our code, whatever we have copied. Now what I'm trying to say to my Maven is, you can build it. Once you build, whatever outcome you are getting, that outcome you need to store on this system. So what is the URL of your Artifactory? This is the URL. Under this one, you have a libs snapshot local repository. Store in this repository. That is the meaning of this particular information. Okay, so we are saying, or we are telling to our Maven to store build outcome into this particular location. Okay, now we'll see, we'll execute the command mvn deploy. Okay, mvn deploy is the one of the life cycle which we are available in the Maven life cycle. It is going to create your repository and it deploys in the target location. Okay, now just we are executing Maven deploy and we'll see what will happen. You can see here it is failed to retrieve the remote metadata Velox is so and so so and so. What it is doing is it is trying to push this particular repository. Okay, hello world 2.0 snapshot. Okay, snapshot. The name itself is having the snapshot, and it is trying to push it over there, but it could not able to push it. Why? Because we told to our pom.xml to store the repository over here. Mhm. But our Maven server should have access, right? Our Maven server should have access to this particular repository. Even while we are logging in, we have used the credentials, admin and password as credentials, right? Similar way, you need to give the credentials to your Maven server to authenticate with this JFrog Artifactory. So for that one, we should use the default user, or else it is always a best practice to create a new user. It is always a best practice to create a new user. So now I'm going to create a new user. You have a admin panel and users. Here you can create a new user. So these three are the default users, and we set up the admin user password. I mean to say reset. Now we are going to create a new user. So the new user name, I'm going to give it as a Maven. Okay, Maven is the new username, and it should have the admin privileges. It should have the admin privileges, and password I'm giving Maven at 123. Again, I'm retyping the password Maven at 123. Okay, okay, Maven at 123 I have given. Right now we have given the Maven at one. We are setting up the user called Maven at 123, and next, what is left out? Email address. Okay, so I'm giving my email address. Okay, arsr319@gmail.com. This is the email ID I'm giving, or else I'm giving a email ID called demo@gmail.com. Okay, but always a best practice that you should provide the appropriate email. For now, I'm using the demo@gmail.com and save it. Now we have created a user called Maven, and we can use this user to communicate with the Artifactory from our Maven server. Okay. Now, if you still see, whenever we execute this command, okay, Maven deploy, right? We are trying to execute. Whenever we execute this command, but it nowhere asking for the credentials. It's nowhere asking for the credentials. So how can we provide the credentials to the Maven? Now there is a file called servers.xml. There is a file called servers.xml. So the file you need to store under your home directory. Under your home directory, you have .m2, right? cd.m2. Here you need to store a file called servers.xml so that what will happen, it can able to authenticate with the Artifactory. Now, next question is who will give the server.xml? Again, in Artifactory, there is a feature to generate the servers.xml for your repository. So what is our repository? Maven, right? Yep, local. So snapshot, sorry, not here. I'm going to repositories and libs snapshot local repository and set me up. And you can see here, currently it is generating the only snippet which is required to update in our pom.xml. Now, if you need, what I can say, servers.xml, you need to choose this option, generate Maven settings. If you choose this one, it lists out all the repositories and generate settings. Now it is going to create a servers.xml file. You can see here, this is giving all the information and username. It is trying to grab the username, but we are going to replace this username and password with our username and password. Similar way here as well. And the remaining all information it has. Remaining all information it has, and you can copy this one, or you can download the snippet or deploy the snippet. So now currently I'm copying this snippet and go to your system. Here we are going to create a servers.xml, va servers.xml. Okay, va servers.xml. Even if you try to download it, it is going to download the settings.xml. I'm sorry here. So it is going to download the settings.xml. Even we need to name it as a settings.xml. Settings.xml va. Okay. So I'm storing my content. And if you do remember, we need to replace username and password. Username and password. What is our username? It is Maven. Okay, this is the password. Same we should copy into here as well. Okay. Okay, I'm copying the same information over here. I just copied. Now, if you see here, it is talking about the server. Okay, server Maven and password we have given. Then if you come down, you can see here, it is central repository. We can understand all this stuff later, but just for now, we have given the credentials. Okay, now again, I'm going back to my OPT and hello world. This is our project, right? In this project, we are running the mvn deploy. Okay, mvn deploy is a command to deploy it in our Maven location. Now what it will do, it is going to create a jar file and it also going to push this jar file onto the target system. You can see here what happened, downloading the snapshots. So if some snapshots are there from this system URL, you can see here, and Artifactory. If some snapshots are there, it is going to download. And you can see here, it always talks with the local only. It doesn't talks with the any other, what I can say, repository and snapshots. It is going to talk. And you can see here, uploading the snapshot. It is uploaded snapshot. It has been updated. Now, if I go and check it out over here, these are the our repositories, right? Just let me refresh it, because once you refresh, you can able to see the what and all has been pushed over here. And first we are going to search for the snapshot local. You can see here com.velaxy.hello world. And if I click on this one, 2.snapshot, this is the snapshot we created, right? Even if you go here and tree, if I execute, okay, tree is a command which will tell you yum install tree. Okay, tree will tell you the directory structure of your system. So I have installed. Now tree, if I execute, you can see here, okay, pom.xml, this is the source code, this is the test. Next, if I go here, target, you can see here, hello world 2.0, this is the jar file it got created, right? This is the jar file it copied over here, 2.0. Okay, now if I go and check it out over here, you can see here 2.0 snapshot. And if I click over here, hello world 2.0 jar file. Okay, so earlier I think yeah, jar file and pom.x pom file also is there, and maven metadata xml, all this has been copied into the remote repository. So now we have the version to maintain it like this. Our snapshots, okay, these snapshots we are going to create multiple times. Why do we create multiple times? Because whenever we deploy our application, they may find the some errors. Okay, they are keep on coming back to us that, okay, update this one, update that one. Once everything is working fine as per the their requirement, then we are going to um, create the versions. Then we are going to create the version. So some features has been enabled completely and the code is working as expected with the features. Now we need to name it as a version. So whenever we name it as a version, we should give the version like vi pom.xml. We should push the versions. Okay, yeah. Now if I go and check it under release, you can see here under release still nothing is there, because we just pushed only the snapshots, not the release. And similar way, if I check over here, you can see here same thing, whatever is here, same thing has been copied over here .com. And these all are the libraries you can see. Okay, these all are the libraries which is required to build this particular repository. Okay, so now all this has been downloaded. Earlier it was not having anything. Similar way, if I go and click on the JCenter, nothing is there, but JCenter cache also nothing is there. Okay, so but in the release library nothing is there. Okay, only under snapshots you could see the some data. Now what we are going to do is assume that this snapshot or this code is working as expected. This code is working as expected. Now I would like to uh, change it as a version rather than a snapshot. Then what we usually do in pom.xml, instead of snapshot, we just name it as a version. Now, whenever you remove the snapshot from your code, it treats it as a version. It treats it as a version, and it try to push the code into the this release directory. Okay, this release repository, I mean to say. Okay, it is trying to push the code into the release repository, but whenever you try to push the code into the release repository in pom.xml, we don't have any code related to the release repository. So far we have added snippet only for the snapshot, nothing but whenever you create snapshots, push it into this repository. And we didn't tell to our pom.xml that what it should do in case if we create the versions or releases. Okay, now let's deploy it. Now pom.xml is going to create a version, I mean to say release, but there is no information related to release, so obviously it should get failed. Let's do the mvn deploy. Okay, I'm trying to deploy our code again, but this time instead of snapshot, it is going to create a release. You can see here the error itself is saying that deployment failed. Repository element was not specified in the pom.xml inside the distribution management element. So we should mention the what I can say release information over here. How we have generated the snippet for the snapshot, similar way we need to generate the snippet for the release as well. So for this one, you can click on the lib release local and set me up. Now, if you scroll down, you can see the release repository information snippet. So you need to copy this one. But distribution management already is created. So we just copy only this code. We just need to copy only this code into our pom.xml, vi pom.xml, and under distribution management, we should add it. Under distribution management, we should add it and escape colon wq and pom.xml. You can see here now it has been, whenever we are going to do the snapshots, if you add the minus snapshot, it will go to this particular repository, sorry, this particular repository. If you just add the releases, it will go to this repository. That is how the Maven can understand. That is how Maven can understand. Now again, I am going to run this command mvn deploy. This time it is going to push the snapshot repository, maybe something while editing the pom.xml, some error, distribution management. Okay, here we missed the copying the repository. Okay, let me copy it. Till here we should copy, sorry. Okay, so or else I just add it, add this one over there. So here, okay, and the slash is for closing in XML. So this is open the repository and close the repository. That's it. Now let's try to build it again. Ambient deploy. Now what it do, it creates a release, and yeah, I mean to say version. This version, it is going to push it into the release repository. Earlier, if you see here, libs snapshot repository was there. Now it is pushing it into the libs release repository. And if I go and check it out over here in the Artifactory, now I'm just to refresh it. And if I click on releases, now you can see here under release, it created a 2.0 and it have the hello world dot, sorry, 2.0. But in the snapshot, the name is, you can see 2.0 snapshot, and uh, what I can say artifact name as well also is coming as a hello world 2.0. Okay, so that is how you can push your snapshots or your releases onto the target system. Okay, and here also you can see here releases and com and necessary files which is required. Okay, this is how you can copy your artifacts onto the artifact repository. Now you may ask that why we are storing these artifacts over there. The first thing is we need to maintain versions. Okay, we need to maintain versions. Assume that now 2.0 I have taken and I have deployed it. If 2.0 is not working, what should I need to do? I need to go back to the 1.0, right? 1.0 is not available at this moment. It is not available, but the all the releases, I mean to say 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, like this, all the releases are maintained by the JFrog Artifactory. So whenever latest version is not working, immediately we can pull the previous version of releases and we can deploy in our target or production environment so that there won't be any outage. That is the reason we should maintain the versions, and the versions are maintained by the JFrog. So JFrog not only maintain the hold the artifacts. Why should we need to maintain the artifacts? Because we are going to create so many versions. All those versions we cannot maintain in our Maven server or in our local repository. So all these versions we should push it into the Artifactory so that it can maintain. Assume that this week I have a new release I have released, and after a couple of minutes the new release is not working. Now I would like to go back to the previous release. So again I can redirect to use the previous release from my Artifactory and pull that particular artifact from my artifact repository and deploy it, so that you can minimize the outage of your application if you use like this. Okay, so this is to hold the artifacts. Now I just want to show you one more thing. Okay, so this is that it is holding nothing but uploading the artifacts. Now what we are going to do is, I told you that even it is going to give the required dependencies or libraries to our uh, build. To our build, whatever required libraries are there, it is going to pull it from the system. Sorry, pull it from the artifact. Now what I will do, whatever required libraries for my, sorry, cd tilde, clear the screen, cd tilde slash dot m2. So I'm going to my m2 directory, and under repository you have a lot of files are there, right? Let's just remove it. So whenever you remove it, what will happen? It doesn't have any required libraries. Now we have given our Artifactory in the settings.xml. Now whenever I build it, it should pull the code from the Artifactory as shown in the diagram. Now nothing is there in the Maven. Now if I do Maven build or Maven deploy, what it will do? Usually it is communicating with the public repository. Okay, public repository and pulling it. But now what it will do? It will going to communicate with the uh, artifact repository. Okay, so now let's go back to our code slash opt hello world, and now mvn deploy. You can see here from where it is going to pull the code. You can see downloading from the central repository. See here all the packages it is pulling, and it builds the code. Okay, so the required libraries you can see here. I will show you the URL. You can see the URL over here. Okay, URL you can see it is coming from the 107, nothing but from artifact repository. Now Maven, what does it do? It will go and communicate with the artifact repository, and the artifact repository can share the required libraries to your build. So that's what I said, right? It is going to do the two activities. One is whatever is necessary, whatever libraries are necessary for your build, it is going to give those libraries, as well as once the build is completed, it is going to store the outcome of your artifactory into your remote repository. Those two activities it is doing. Because we have removed from our local, that is the reason it is taking so much time. Earlier we have the all the repositories in our local system, it is not taking much time. Complete, because it is going to artifact and downloading, so it will be bit late. Why? Because it is going to store one copy over here, same file. It will go and communicate over here. This should go to internet and download the libraries, and then it should copy over here. So there is a little delay, and now it maintain these libraries in the repository now. Okay, all these libraries are maintained in the remote repository as well. Now let's go and check it out. Okay, I'm going back over here, and you can see here JCenter. You can see lot of libraries has been downloaded. This is the central repository. I told you that Maven local enterprise repository, right? Something like that we can use as a JFrog Artifactory act like that. So these all are which are required to build our particular Java project. And if you see here, JUnit is downloaded, and under com Veloxy is there. All these are copied into JCenter repository. there is Veloxy as well, if I do remember. Okay, anyway, so these all are there. I think it will be at the end because we comes at the end. All right. Now, if I go and check it out, our build in the starting or anything, you can see here downloading from the central. Okay, from where it is downloading from the HTTPS, and this is the URL of your JFrog Artifactory. This is the URL of your JFrog Artifactory. Now, what I will do, I will show you the difference now. I will remove the cd tilde slash dot m2. Sorry, m2. I'm going to my local repository, and under repository you can see the files. Now I will remove again these files, and also I'm going to move the settings.xml to one folder ahead. Now there is no settings.html, sorry, XML. So now what will happen whenever we do build again, it doesn't communicate with the what I can say, it doesn't communicate with the artifact repository. Why? Because service settings.xml will have the artifact repository. Now settings.xml file itself is not there. Now it cannot communicate, or it don't go and speak with your artifactory. It directly pull the, so it directly pull the, so it directly pull the required libraries from the internet to this system. Now you cannot see the URL which you have seen earlier. You are seeing that uploading or downloading required libraries from here, right? Nothing but here. Now it will show you the central Maven repository information. Again, I am executing the Maven deploy. Sorry, not here. cd slash opt hello world. Okay, clear the screen. Now mbn deploy I am doing. Now you can see here where it is going, HTML repo.mavenapache.org. Nothing but it is going to public repository to download all the necessary libraries. Okay, so this is how you can use your artifact repository as central repository for your required libraries, as well as the to hold your artifacts. Okay, so that's all about the Artifactory. We are going to use this one Artifactory in upcoming classes as well. So for now, this information is sufficient to work with Artifactory. Now, any questions? And if you also see this one, the downloading process, it is quite faster comparatively earlier. Earlier, it should go with the one more system to fetch the required stuff. And anyway, it is going to fail. Why? Because we told in the pom.xml to push the artifacts to this system. Now credentials are stored in service, sorry, settings.xml. Settings.xml file is not there. That is the reason it failed. Again, if I rerun this same command, this time it won't take this much time because all the libraries are downloaded. Okay, that's how we can use Maven and Artifactory to help our to help in our DevOps process. Now, any questions?
Shankar, I have a question. All
Yes,
this,
go
all
ahead.
like whatever we are downloading will be stored in our local repository, right? I mean, like in .m2.
Yes,
So it won't take directly from .m2, then it goes to the web, like EC2.
yes, yes. See, thing is, if you specify the servers.xml, nothing but you have a repository in your system, then it will go and talk with the repository. I mean to say, artifact repository. If you don't have artifact repository, it will go and communicate with the cloud. But either it talks with this one or either it talks with this one. First time, whenever it requires libraries, it will store in this one. Okay, either it is pulling from here or it is pulling from here. It will maintain the one copy of your libraries in the local system. That is always happens. Even if you see earlier execution, we have pulled the libraries from here. But if Artifactory doesn't have, it will go and communicate and pull from here. It pulls and it keeps one copy over here, and also it keeps one more copy over here. Now again, next time whenever we do the build, this time it will go, it doesn't communicate with this one because already I have. If again it doesn't have, it will go and communicate over here. Same thing will happen in the this route as well. So overall concept is just, it is very simple. Earlier, whenever we required any libraries for our Maven build, we were going to internet. Now we are going to our Artifactory. What is the benefit of going to Artifactory? First thing is, it is quite faster because you are doing the subsequent builds and multiple projects use the same Artifactory. That is one thing. Second thing is you can maintain versions appropriately if you have the artifact repository. Otherwise, you will have a lot of versions in your local repository and it is not well maintained. Nothing but you don't understand when was created what, how does it, I mean to say, when was created what and how it is maintained, where it is available. All this confusion would be there, but it is well structured, maintained in the Artifactory. That is another advantage. And also security. Going to the public repository to, sorry, going to the internet to pull the any required libraries is not safer way, because you may get the some malicious code through these libraries if somebody want to inject. It is quite simple, but whenever you use the Artifactory, it is avoided because the purpose itself is going to uh, scan that one as well in the Artifactory. So while downloading itself, it downloads the only authorized libraries to this system, and then only it used in our program. So these three advantages we have through the Artifactory. That is overall concept what we have done, and how we can set it up. We just need to install it and create the local repositories and give the local repository coding to your Maven, so Maven can understand that one. That is what we have discussed in today's session.
So if we restart the server again, we need to give the IP address and everything again for the EC2.
Yes, yeah, okay. I need to tell you about that one. So now what will happen whenever I restart, stop and start, not restart. If I stop and start, this particular IP address is going to replace. So to overcome that problem, what you guys can do, use the elastic IP. So in this public IP, if I stop and start my instance, it is going to change. Whenever it change, again the code, whatever we have mentioned in the form.xml, if you see here, it is referring to the public IP of this one. It is going to change, but private IP is constant. This is private IP. There is a ranges for the public IPs and private IPs. By looking at the IP address, we can tell that whether it is a public or private IP. Okay, quickly I will explain what is the difference between public and private IP. So there are, you know, right? The network starts with 0.0.0.02, maximum 255.255.255.255. That is the maximum range. Okay. Yep. Okay. So that is the maximum range. This is even 10, but the range is something like this. Okay. Network starts with 0.0.0.02. 255.255.255.255. You cannot see any IP address beyond this one. Nothing but 300 dot something like that. You never find it. Maximum value you will get this one. So among this, this is IP version 4 we called. Nothing but IPv4. But there is a limitation with this one. That is the reason industry start using the IPv6. Okay. IPv6 also we are started using in some organizations, but we are mostly using the IPv4. So IPv4 range is this one. Among this, we have the public and private IP addresses. Public, nothing but you cannot reuse the IP address. Nothing but if I have a IP address called 200.200.200.200, I cannot use this IP address, or sorry, any other person cannot use this IP address. One IP address is allocated to only one system in the entire world. In the entire world, you cannot see the same IP address is used by any other. But private IP addresses are reused. Private IP addresses are reused nothing but you can use that particular IP address to any other sorry, in another people also can use the same IP address. If you take, if I take this IP address, you can see here 172.31.33.62. Still other people also can use this IP address. But this public IP address at this moment it is allocated to my JFrag Artifactory system, and it is not going to access, sorry, it is only going to access this system. It is not available for any other system at this moment. Okay, so public IP addresses are accessible through the internet, but not the private IP addresses. So in the internet, even I can browse this IP address. Here, if you see here, I use the public URL. Instead of URL, I can just use the public IP address. Okay, public IP colon 8081. I can access it, but private IP addresses are not accessible from the internet. So from browser, nothing but it is internet, right? You can see here, it is loading. But if I try to do colon 8081. This time I'm using private IP address. Private IP addresses are not accessible through the internet. Okay. Now what is the private IP addresses range? If you see here, they have given the range 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255. This is the one range. Next range is this one. Next range is this one. So if your IP address is between, if your IP address is starts with a 10 and 10, that is a private IP address. There is no doubt at all. And if your IP address is starts with 172.16 to 172.31, in between is there, that is again a private IP address. Similar way, 192.168. Again, this is the private IP address range. So these IP addresses you can reuse any times you can use. In organizations, what we'll have, we have very limited public IP addresses which are accessible through the internet. But for each and every laptop or desktop, have its own private IP address. So all these private IP addresses are accessed through the public internet. That's how it works. Again, it is a vast subject. I mean to say a lot to understand that one, but just for a simple understanding, just understand that if your IP address is in this range, you cannot access directly from the internet. That is the thing you should remember. Okay, because this particular server is running on AWS data center. From here, I cannot able to access my AWS data center server directly. But if I am in AWS data center, maybe I can access it. That is the reason we should have the public IP address for each and every system. Even Google also, if I do the ping google.com, okay, even it has a public IP. You can see here 172.172.217. Okay, it is a private, sorry, public IP address. So if you see here, our public IP range, if you see 172.16 to 172.31, out of this range, this one, so it is a public IP address. So that is how you can understand whether it is a public or private. If they have given a private IP address to this system, google.com cannot be accessible. Okay, and this particular IP address at this moment is mapped to google.com. In the world, you cannot see this IP address is assigned to any other website or application, sorry, server. Okay, so with that, even now we need a public IP address, sorry, we need a public IP address, but in AWS what happens, this public IP address, they are keep on replacing it. If you need a permanent public IP address, that they call it as a terminology as a elastic IP address. So here you need to go allocate an elastic IP address and allocate. See here IPv4, and they will give you a public IP address. Now, how can I know this is a public IP address? It starts with 3. 3 is out of this range, right? It starts with 10. Okay, 10 or 172 or 192. So it is a public IP, and I can allocate this public IP to my system. So click on that one and actions. This is to release or associate elastic IP address. So I'm associating to which system I want to choose associate. I want to associate it with the JFrog Artifactory and associate it. Now what happened? It has been allocated to my JFrog Artifactory. And if I go and check it out, now my public IP address doesn't work. This doesn't work anymore because they release the public IP address whenever you attach the sorry, whenever you attach the elastic IP address. So JFrog Artifactory, now you can see here, even here also public IP address as well as elastic IP address, both are same. Now I need to access my Artifactory with this IP address :8081. Now similar way, I need to update my pom.xml code as well. Okay, currently it is referring to this one. This is no more valid now. Okay, even if I execute it, build, right? So before that one, let's go to /.m2 and servers.xml cp.server one directory up settings, right? Settings.xml to here. So I just copied settings.xml. Nothing but credentials are there for the remote repository, but you can see here remote repository is still referring to this one, so it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Okay, cds minus so mvn deploy. You can see here it cannot able to communicate to download the packages. Okay, anyway, local packages are there. That is the reason it is going. But while it is pushing it into this one, this IP address is nowhere used, right? It is currently maybe free or it might be used by somebody else, but I don't have access to this particular one, so it cannot able to do that one. Now what I need to do, I need to regenerate the snippets. So Jenkins, sorry, Maven, right? Maven at 123. So now again, if I go to snapshot local, you can see here, this time it comes with this IP address. So what you guys do, you use the public elastic IP address and then create this one. Elastic IP address and then create this one and use this in our system.
Is there any extra charge for using this?
Yes, elastic IP is charged in case if we don't use nothing, but now it is assigned to a running instance, so they don't charge. If I stopped it, it means that you are unnecessarily holding an elastic IP. Then they start charging it, but it is very minimal. What's the price of AWS? Okay, 0.005 per elastic IP address, not associated with an running EC2 instance. Okay, so this is the charge. All right, so I'm winding up today's class over here.